Hey y'all, welcome back to Crochet with MeMiMade. In this tutorial, we're going to be creating this fun freestyle Two Pom Pom Beanie. This is part 1 of the tutorial. Let's get into it. So I'm going to be using 2 skeins of Yarn Bee True Colors in the color November Periwinkle from Hobby Lobby, a pair of scissors, some measuring tape, a 6.5 millimeter hook, a 4.0 millimeter hook, a tapestry needle, a stitch marker. I'm using yarn because I couldn't find my stitch marker, y'all. And some yarn that you feel goes with the color that you choose for your pom-poms. So first we're just going to start off by creating our slip knot. And then we're going to chain up 3. Once you have your 3 chains, we're just going to put a half double crochet in that very first chain. Okay, now we're going to take our stitch marker and we're going to insert our stitch marker into that first half double crochet. Okay, now we're going to insert our hook back into that stitch and we're going to create another half double crochet in that same stitch. Now we're just going to do the same thing for those other 2 chains. We're going to insert 2 half double crochets in that second chain stitch. And then we're going to insert 2 more half double crochets in that last chain stitch. So you'll have a total of 6 half double crochets before you make it back to your stitch marker. All right, 1 row down, a couple more to go. So we're going to take out our stitch marker and we're going to insert another half double crochet in that very same stitch we took our stitch marker out of. And we're going to re-enter that stitch marker in that half double crochet we just did. Okay, you'll get it as you go along. It's the same pattern. The first stitch, you're just going to insert your stitch marker. Now you're going to insert another half double crochet in that same stitch. So that's 2 half double crochets. Then you're going to do 2 more half double crochets in the next stitch. And you're going to continue this pattern. So 2 half double crochets in every stitch until you get back to your stitch marker, and I'll meet y'all there. Okay, and then we're back to that stitch marker. We're just going to pull that baby out. We're going to insert another half double crochet. Yep, y'all got it. And then we're going to re-enter our stitch marker into that first half double crochet. Now, what y'all think we're going to do? We're going to do another half double crochet in that same stitch. And it'll be the same pattern for row 3. 2 half double crochets in each stitch until you get back to your stitch marker. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit, y'all, so it don't get repetitive. But just remember, we're doing 2 half double crochets in each stitch around. And I will meet y'all back at our stitch marker. Okay, we're coming up on that last half double crochet before our stitch marker, and we're all done with row 3. You're just going to take that stitch marker out, and this is what it should look like. You'll see that circle, the crown of the hat starting to form. So now we're just going to insert another half double crochet. This will be starting row 4. You're going to grab that stitch marker, re-enter it or reinsert it back into that half double crochet stitch. And for this row, it's going to be a little different. You're going to insert 2 half double crochets in that next stitch. So you inserted 1 half double crochet in that first one with the stitch marker and 2 in the next. In the following, you're going to insert 1, and then in the next stitch, you'll insert 2 more half double crochet stitches. And then the next one, you guessed it, 1 half double crochet in that stitch. And you'll repeat this pattern all the way around for row 4 until you get back to your stitch marker. I'm going to meet you guys there, and I'll see you soon. Okay, and we're coming back up to our last stitch where we're going to be inserting 2 half double crochets right before our stitch marker. And there you have it, row 4. Now we're going to take that stitch marker out. We're going to insert our first half double crochet in that next stitch. Get our stitch marker, insert it as usual. And now for row 5, you're just going to do 1 half double crochet in every stitch. So just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, now we're coming up on that last stitch right before our stitch marker. Just inserting that half double crochet stitch into that last stitch. And there we have it, y'all. Row 5. So y'all already know the drill. We take our stitch marker out. But for this row, it's going to be a little different. We're going to be doing single crochets. Single crochets. So we're going to insert our first single crochet in that stitch. Then we're going to grab our stitch marker and reinsert it into that single crochet. And in the next stitch, it's similar to row 5, we're going to insert 2 single crochets in that next stitch. And in the next stitch, it'll just be 1 single crochet. And in the following stitch, it'll be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then you're just going to repeat this pattern, y'all. It's similar to row 5, just instead of doing half double crochets, we're doing single crochets. And we're going to do the same thing around until we get back to our stitch marker. And I will meet y'all there. Okay, y'all, so we're all done with row 6. You should have ended with 2 single crochets in that last stitch. Now we're going to take our measuring tape and we're just going to measure the crown of our hat. So depending on which size you want, I know right now I'm at a 6.5. If you're at a 6.5 crown and you want to start to round the hat, like if that's the size you want it to be, then you'll skip to this portion of the video. And if you're looking for a crown larger than 6.5, depending on the size hat that you're making, whether that's 7, 7.5, 8, and larger, you'll just repeat row 6 until you get the length of your crown. Row 6 was just those 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and you'll do that until you get to the length of your crown. Okay, and as you can see, I repeated row 6 for 1 more row, and now my crown measures out to about 7 inches, approximately 7 inches. And if you're looking to keep going, you'll just do another row until you reach the length of your crown. But now I have 7 rows total, which has gotten me to that 7-inch crown. Now we're going to start to form our hat. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is remove our stitch marker. And then we're going to do something a little different. we're just going to work in the back loops only. So from now on, we're going to work in the back loops only for the remainder of our hat. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a half double crochet in the back loop only. So do 1 half double crochet in your back loop only. Then you're going to reinsert your stitch marker into that half double crochet. Okay, and then for this row, we're just going to continue with those half double crochets in the back loops only. So 1 half double crochet in each stitch going in the back loops only. Okay, and we're just going to continue to do that until we get back to our stitch marker. And I'll fast forward just a little bit and meet y'all back at our stitch marker. Okay, and now we're coming up to that last stitch before our stitch marker, working that half double crochet in that back loop only. And then we're going to pull out that stitch marker. And now, y'all, you'll start to see your hat kind of forming into a hat now, not just a circle. And for the remainder of the hat, we're just going to work those half double crochets in that back loop only. We're going to insert that stitch marker back into that first half double crochet that we made. Y'all know the drill. And you'll continue to do that, entering those half double crochets in that back loop only until you get to the length that you want for your hat. For my size, I have a really big head. I have a 23-inch head. And I wanted my length of the actual entirety of the hat to be 8 inches. But I also know that we have a border to work on. So I did my rows until I reached 7 inches because the border is actually 1 inch. So 7 plus 1 equals 8. That's how many inches I wanted my hat to be. So I continued to work those half double crochets in the back loops only up until I got to 7 inches. You may want to do 6 inches. You may want to do 6.5. But just continue to work those half double crochets until you get to the length that you want for your hat. Okay? And make sure you're accounting for the border. The border will be 1 inch. So go ahead and work those stitches. Ooh, stitches. Until you get to the length that you want. And then we're going to meet back up for our border, y'all. We moving through. Okay, y'all. So I continued to work those half double crochets in the back loops only. And this is what it turned out like. Y'all can see how it created that effect by just working in the back loops only. And I'm going to take my measuring tape, measure it out. And I'm at 7 inches, exactly where I want it to be. Now I'm just going to show y'all how to close this off. If you worked a little shorter than me, that's okay. 6 inches, 6.5 inches, that's perfectly fine. Now I'm just going to show you how to close off, and then we'll get into our border. Okay, so I'm right here back at my stitch marker. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker out so that we can close this up. So you're going to go into both loops and create a slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 1. Now you're just going to insert a half double crochet into each of the back loops only. You won't be needing your stitch marker for this because, as you can see, that first chain stitch you'll be able to see is the start of a new row. Okay, so you're just going to go around in the back loops only with half double crochets up until you get to the beginning of the row where we initially started. Okay, now we're coming back to where we initially started. You can see right there that first chain, that slip stitch and the first chain stitch. Okay, so now you're just going to create a slip stitch right on top of that half double crochet to close up your hat. And there we have it, y'all. Now this just created our hat to be 7 inches all the way around. Since we were working in rounds, it was like 7 inches on one side and then it might be a little shorter on the other. But creating this last and final row made our hat the same length all the way around. Okay? Doesn't matter if it was 6 inches or 6.5 inches, we're even throughout. Okay, and now we're just going to flip our hat over and we're going to cut the tail. So we'll just make it as long as you can or as long as you want to weaving that in. Then you're just going to pull that loop straight through and pull it as tightly as you can. Okay, and this is what our almost finished hat will look like. Now we're going to get into the border, y'all. So the first step for our border is going to be counting the amount of stitches that we have on our hat. So we're going to count every individual stitch that we had in our last row of half double crochets. My number was 53. So if you have more or less than me, just keep that number in mind. And I'm going to show y'all, once y'all have your number, what we're going to do next to ensure that our border is the correct length all the way around. Okay, y'all, so we're just going to take our yarn, create a slip knot, and then we're going to insert our hook, and we're going to chain up 3. This is deja vu. That's how we started, right, y'all? Once we have that, you're just going to create a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. And then in the next stitch, you'll create another single crochet. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. And that's it, y'all. You just repeat that pattern until you get the length of your border. So now y'all remember that number that y'all had? Mine was 53. I'm going to do 53 rows. Okay, 53 rows in total for my border to ensure that my border won't be too long or too short for the circumference around my hat. So if your number was 49, 45, you'll just do 45 rows in total for your border, okay? And then once y'all have that, we're going to meet up to attach our border to our hat. Sound good? Sound great? I'll see y'all there. Make sure y'all keeping count of each row that you're doing. And I'll see y'all soon. Okay, and now I have my 53 rows, and this is what it looks like. And now I'm just going to fold it to show y'all how it'll be, I guess, around the hat. So now, in order to close it off, we're just going to insert our hook. And then we're just going to chain 1, pull that loop through, and you're going to cut your yarn. Make sure, guys, that your tail is extra long because that's what we're going to use to close up both ends for our hat. Now we're just going to attach this to the bottom of our hat. Okay, y'all, so first things first, make sure you create a slip knot for your yarn because we'll be reattaching that yarn. Then you're going to take your border, you're going to place it up against the bottom of your hat right where we ended off, where we have our tail. Then you're going to insert your hook into the border, and then you're also going to insert your hook into the back loop of that very first stitch, like shown. Then you're going to reattach your yarn to that hook. Now that you have all 3 on your hook, you're going to pull that yarn through both your hat and border, like shown, okay? And now you're going to go through your border, your back loop, or front loop, I'm sorry, your very front loop of the hat, the front loop of your hat. You're going to pull that yarn through and create a single crochet. Okay? And with this, y'all, make sure that you're going in every row. So make sure that you're going through each row on the border. Make sure the stitches are aligning with your rows. So if you're on row 4 or you're on stitch 4, make sure you're on row 4 of the border. I hope I'm making sense, y'all. Just make sure that y'all going through every row because you know we have 53 stitches along our hat and then we have 53 rows along our border. Okay, so just do the same thing going all the way around. Insert your hook into your border and then insert your hook also into that front loop. I'm struggling here. To that front loop. And then you're going to pull that loop through and create a single crochet. Okay, I won't fast forward this part because I know it could get, I won't say tricky because it's not really tricky. It's just more so if this is your first time seeing it, it's a little newer. So I'll continue to show you just exactly how I went around the entire circumference of the hat. And then I'm also about to show you how to, if you need this trick, some people don't, but there's a trick that you could do with some stitch markers where you'll stretch your border across the bottom of your hat and it'll just align everything together. I did insert timestamp, so if you want to fast forward to that trick with the stitch markers, it'll be right here. If not, if you want to keep watching how I went around the hat, that's completely fine as well. Just take your time and just make sure that you're going through every row and every stitch. Okay, y'all, so here's the trick. So what you're going to do is take a couple stitch markers and you're going to just stretch your border across the bottom of your hat. And as you're stretching, you're just going to insert stitch markers through the border and through your hat, like shown. It's just keeping everything aligned and I would say leveled. So that way, as you're crocheting, everything is already aligned and prepped for you. So that way, it reaches the other side of the border accurately. So that way it's not too short or it's not too long, like you don't have access, and you also don't need to create a longer border. I hope I'm making sense, y'all. I'm really trying to, but you can also do this before you start the border. If you want to take a couple stitch markers and just stretch them along the circumference of your hat to ensure that it all aligns, feel free to do so. And that's the trick, y'all. So I'll be meeting y'all at the end of the border to show y'all how to just bring everything together and close it up. Okay, so I finished up. I removed all of my stitch markers and this is what it looks like, y'all. It should have like a gap from one end to the next. Now we're just going to cut our yarn and we're going to do the same thing as always to close up. Pull that loop through and tighten it. All right, and now with that very long tail from the border, that's what we're going to use to reattach our ends. So we're just going to pinch both ends. I'm trying to make sure I got all the way in the camera. We're going to take our 4mm hook or any size hook that's pretty small, and we're just going to pinch those two ends together and working from the inside of the hat. As you see, I have it flipped. You're just going to take that tail and pull it through the other end. Then you're going to switch your hat around and pull it through the other end. You're just going to go back and forth. So once you pull it through this end, you'll just turn your hat and pull it through the other end. And you're going to do this from the bottom to the top until that gap is closed. Okay, y'all, so I'm coming up on that last stitch that I have to pull through. Okay, and then I'm just going to flip my hat on the other side, and this is what it should look like, y'all. Now, I don't know how I ended up with two tails on the inside of my hat, but if you have two, just take both and tie them into a knot to create that security. If you only have one, then just take that tail and weave it in and create some sort of knot so that it's tight and secure and it's not going anywhere. Or you can just weave in your tails as usual, as you usually do when you have them, just to secure your project. But either way, just make sure you're creating some type of knot to make sure it's secure, y'all. Okay? And this is what it'll look like. This is the hat with the border, y'all. So thank y'all so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2, or I'm going to link it down below so we can do the pom-poms. See y'all in the next one.